Welcome all to my channel. If this is the first time watching my channel, please subscribe below. And if you are a regular viewer, welcome back. The video that I am going to show you is a very concerning one. Before anyone take this COVID vaccine, please do your research because there is an evil agenda going around in regards to this COVID vaccine. Watch and learn.
Songo is being injected with a potentially life-saving treatment against the new coronavirus. He's volunteered for the first human trials of a vaccine to take place in Africa.
I feel a little bit scared, but I want to know what's going on with this vaccine so that I can tell my friends and others what's going on in this time.
The trial, being carried out by Britain's Oxford University alongside local partner University of the Witwatersrand, will consist of 2,000 volunteers, including some HIV-positive patients. They will be monitored over the next 12 months to see how well the vaccine protects against COVID-19. Shabir Mahdi, a professor of vaccinology at Wits University, says the aim is to get the infection rate under 1, the level at which it starts spreading rapidly.
But once 60% of the population, especially the adult population, that becomes immune, we expect that effectively productive rate to go to under 1, which basically means the virus will still be around, it will still circulate, but its chain of transmission has been interrupted, which is important.
It's the second trial of this vaccine outside the United Kingdom after Brazil, and a larger study is planned in the United States. South Africa has the highest rate of infections in Africa at over 100,000 with 2,000 deaths, and the World Health Organization has warned the region could become the next epicenter of the outbreak. Though tests of a new medical intervention on the continent always ring alarm bells because of a history of big pharmaceutical companies using Africans as guinea pigs, it's hoped that South Africa's involvement will ensure the continent will have access to an affordable vaccine and not be left at the back of the queue.
The announcement of the first coronavirus vaccine to be studied in Africa and indeed in South Africa. So the South African Medical Research Council is a major funder of this program. What's very important as well is the issue around prevention, and we became very interested in funding work on vaccine design and development. And we looked at both local vaccine design and development as well as collaborating with international groups. And so this is the reason why we have collaborated with the Gates Foundation to fund this very important research.
SMEs are the backbone of our economy, and we're here to help support them through these challenging times. Millions of dollars in funding is now available to SMEs at a special low rate of 6.5%, and businesses with little or no collateral can now obtain support through our various partnerships. At NCB, we believe that every viable business should be able to access the capital they need to adapt, innovate, and grow. Life has been interrupted, but your business plans don't have to be.
Si je peux être provocateur, est-ce qu'on ne devrait pas faire cette étude en Afrique où il n'y a pas de masque, pas de traitement, pas de réanimation, un peu comme c'est fait d'ailleurs pour certaines études dans le sida, où chez les prostituées on essaye des choses parce qu'on sait qu'elles sont hautement exposées et elles ne se protègent pas. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez ?
Alors vous avez raison, et d'ailleurs on est en train de réfléchir en parallèle à une étude en Afrique justement pour faire ce même type d'approche avec le BCG, un placebo. Je pense qu'il y a un appel d'offres qui est sorti, il va sortir, et je pense...
policy of the American government is called the Kissinger Report, which was produced in the mid-70s when Henry Kissinger was involved with the government. And it explicitly states, which to this day, it remains the official policy of the American government. It has not changed. It may not be implemented by Trump, but it remains the same. That the purpose of the foreign policy in Africa was to reduce the population. So to give aid to countries in Africa, not clean water and schooling and things like that, but contraception and abortion, in order to shrink the population of Africa, because they have great mineral resources there.
That sounds diabolical.
It is, yes.
That sounds like something conceived in the mind of Margaret Sanger.
Yeah, definitely. And so at the time, Kissinger and those involved with the Carter administration wanted to shrink the population, make sure that the Africans do not develop and do not use the resources for themselves, because we in the States, we need them. There is a concerted effort of foreign powers to control the population of Africa. Africa is a huge continent, could feed thousands more people, but the policies of the West, especially in Europe. For example, between 1990 and the year 2000, the United States, Canada, and Europe contributed about $6 billion in contraceptives. Not to help the people, not to give clean water, clean food. That is
not to fight malaria, for example.
No, of course, perish the thought, never. Yeah. Let them die. That's the whole idea. So, in our work in HLI, we denounce this reality to make the Africans aware that they have to defend themselves against the influence of foreign powers.
Anti-science, a whole movement called the anti-vaxxers, who refuse to acknowledge the evidence that vaccinations have eradicated smallpox and who, by their prejudices, are actually endangering the very children they want to protect. And I totally reject this anti-scientific pessimism. I'm profoundly optimistic about the ability of new technology to serve as a liberator and to remake the world wondrously and benignly. Indeed, in countless respects, technology is already doing just that. Nanotechnology, I mentioned earlier, revolutionizing medicine by designing robots a fraction of the size of a red blood cell, capable of swimming through our bodies, dispensing medicine and attacking malignant cells like some Star Wars armada. Neural interface technology is producing a new generation of cochlear implants, I think, of new tools that we acquired, but over which we, the human race, had the advantage, which we controlled. And that is not necessarily the case in the digital age. You may keep your secrets from your friends, from your parents, your children, your doctor, even your personal trainer. But it takes real effort to conceal your thoughts from Google. And if that is true today, in future, there may be nowhere to hide. Smart cities will pullulate with sensors, all joined together by the Internet of Things. Bollards communing invisibly with lampposts. But this technology could also be used to keep every citizen under round-the-clock surveillance. A future Alexa will pretend to take orders, but this Alexa will be watching you, clucking her tongue.
I say to the African presidents, do not take their medications. I say to those of us in America, we need to call a meeting of our skilled virologists, epidemiologists, students of biology and chemistry. And we need to look at not only what they give us, we need to give ourselves something better. Yes, sir. So my teacher told me, don't speak for some, speak for the whole. Yes, sir. And now I'm speaking for Black America, yes, sir, for Hispanic America, yes, for the Native American, yes,
And for those who are desirous of life, they're making money now, plotting to give 7,500,000,000 people a vaccination.
Yes, that's right.
Dr. Fauci,
Teach their medicine.
Bill Gates and Melinda,
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. Yes, sir.
you want to depopulate the earth. What the hell gives you that right? Who are you to sit down with your billions and talk about who can live and who should die?
That's right.
That's why your world is coming to an end quickly, because you have sentenced billions to death, but God is now sentencing you to the death that you are sentencing to others. Yes, Allah is great.
Yes, sir.
So whether I'm present or absent, the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam
Yes, sir.
must call our scientists.
Yes, sir.
Come and let's sit down.
Yes, sir. Right.
Our virologists, our epidemiologists, those of us who know the science. We cannot let them bring anything to us that we don't dissect.
Yes, sir.
Don't you take a vaccine unless you say
Yes, sir.
to our people, we've checked it out.
Yes, sir.
And you better be of the truthful ones.
Yes, sir.
But Farrakhan, if we don't take the vaccine, we're sure to die. You're dying for sure now.
That's right.
They want to quicken death.
Right.
Yes, brothers and sisters, they are in the Bible as the pale horse
Yes, sir.
of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The pale horse had a rider. His rider was death.
Yes, sir.
And everywhere that pale horse went, hell followed behind.
That's right.
This is your history. You're angry with me.
Yes, sir.
I'll take it,
Right.
because the two that back me are very angry with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the righteous are becoming more angry with you with every passing day. Imagine some Caucasians sitting in a room plotting the death of 2 to 3 billion human beings.
Yes, sir.
Calling them useless eaters.
Yes, sir.
That's Satan.
Yes, sir.
That's the mind of Satan.
Absolutely.
You know how Satan's mind begins? It begins with these words. When asked, why didn't you submit when I commanded you? And the satanic mind says, I am better because I am made of fire,
Yes, sir.
while he is made from dust. The moment any of you, any of us, begin to think we are better,
Yes.
we start mistreating those whom we think are less.
That's right.
So white people think naturally, this is not a fault, this is their nature,
That's
that they are better. Look at the words. Let us make man in our image and after our likeness. How did the Caucasian come into existence?
Come on.
You can bring your scientists and we'll sit down.
Right.
Because my teacher said, if you can prove one word that he taught us as false, he will pay with his life. and I am his student. I'll pay with mine because I believe in every word that he taught.
Yes, sir.
You're not a natural man, you're a grafted man with a birth control mechanism.
Yes.
Killing the darker, saving the lighter,
Yes, sir.
marrying the lighter on to the lighter, killing the darker of the lighter,
Right.
marrying that on the lighter with the lighter until you get black, you get brown, you get red, you get yellow, you get white.
Yes.
And when the white man was made, his father was a liar, his father was a murderer,
Yes, sir.
so they're born with lie and murder in their nature. How do they lie so easily?
Yes, sir.
If you could read the record, the police records of what they say in their reports that they write,
That's right.
they have concocted lies to justify their murder of our brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
Why are the police quitting now? You should all quit. Because if your presence there thinks that you're going to come into the black community and do what you've been doing, you better quit.
Yes, sir.
The jump out boys better stay in the white community. Don't come where we live and jump out, because you may never get back in. Real talk now. We can't take it no more. We won't take it anymore. So you develop your vaccine. Mr. Dershowitz, listen to the words of God from my mouth for you. You're such a skillful deceiver. You deceived your brothers in the Senate to vote not to impeach Mr. Trump. You were very skillful. But see if you can impeach the wisdom of God. You're Satan, masquerading as a lawyer. Satan, walking in full sight, deceiving whoever they can deceive. That's Satan. Mr. Greenblatt, you're Satan. Those of you that say that you're Jews, I will not even give you the honor of calling you a Jew. You're not a Jew. You're so-called. You're Satan. And it's my job now to pull the cover off of Satan so that every Muslim, when he sees Satan, pick up a stone, as we do in Mecca. Did you hear me, Brother Abdul Malik? When you know who Satan is, you don't have to kill him, no. The stone of truth. See, that's what you throw. Allah says, had we wished to take a pastime from before, surely we would have done it. Nay, we cast truth at falsehood till we knock out its brains to its end. I say to my brothers and sisters in Africa, if they come up with a vaccine, be careful. Don't let them vaccinate you with their history of treachery through vaccines, through medication. Are you listening?
Senator Scott Jensen. I represent Carver County. This is one of the most important videos I've made, and one of the hardest. Frankly, it's been a very difficult decision to make whether I even wanted to do it. Less than a week ago, I was notified by the Board of Medical Practice in Minnesota that I was being investigated because of public statements I had made. They listed 2 allegations. They said I've been spreading misinformation in regards to the completion of death certificates on a news program, which happened to take place on April 7th. And you could find that one. It was with Chris Berg if you wanted to. And the other allegation was that I provided reckless advice in my willingness to compare COVID-19 and the flu. When I got this letter, I was ticked. And quite frankly, I leaned into the comfort and wisdom of my family to help them, let them walk me and talk me off the cliff. But doggone it, if this can happen to me, my view is it could happen to anybody. I mean, I've been a family doc for 40 years. I work hard, I love my patients, I do house calls, I've been medical director, I've held staff positions in hospitals to help make things work better. I've been in the Senate for 4 years and I've learned a lot. I've never had anything like this happen. Shoot 'em out. 5 years ago, I was named the Minnesota Family Doctor of the Year in Minnesota. And I get this because a couple people complained, and I don't get to know who those people are. I don't know if they're routinely in a political camp, if they're activists. I've gone online and looked at what it takes to complete a complaint that the Board of Medical Practice has to follow up on. It's a one-page deal. You can say what you want. You could be a huge donor for the other party, and I wouldn't get to know it. I wouldn't get to know if you live in my district. I don't get to know anything. I checked. So, here I am. I've spent the better part of the last 6 days preparing a response. I understand how important the work is that the Board of Medical Practice does. I mean, physicians do screw up. 2 of the big areas where physicians mess up is inappropriate sexual behavior, inappropriate self-medicating, certainly with opiates. But this is an odd position for me to be in, and I am just stunned. But I should have seen it coming, because I saw the threats on social media. I've seen them for the last 2 or 3 months. I've seen them come from physicians. I've seen them come from people in all walks of life. They didn't agree with me. They didn't like it, that I was trying to provide some context for the flu, for COVID-19. We've had some 35,000, 40,000 cases of COVID-19 in Minnesota thus far. According to the Department of Health people, that might translate into 10 times that many. And if it does translate into 10 times that many, that's 350,000 cases. But in 2018, we had more than 500,000 Minnesotans with the flu. When I say that, am I recklessly giving you advice regarding COVID-19 and the flu? Dr. Anthony Fauci has come out and compared them all the time. Dr. Mike Osterholm has. In terms of the death certificates, on April 3rd, I got an email from the Department of Health that said very clearly that we should report COVID-19 on death certificates if it is assumed to have caused or contributed. Well, that's not how we do death certificates. The official ICD-10 coding for April 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2020, during the time frame in question, says this: if the provider documents suspected, possible, probable, or inconclusive COVID-19, do not assign U07.1, which is COVID-19 disease. It says, assign a code explaining the reason for the encounter, such as fever, or a cough, or shortness of breath. That's what the official instructions say. So, I get this on April 3rd. I end up inadvertently, sort of accidentally, running it up the flagpole with Chris Berg on April 7th. And what happens? The Department of Health, a few days later, comes out with a clarification. And then a few weeks later, they come out with another clarification. And I appreciate it. The fact of the matter is, I'm proud of the Department of Health in Minnesota for saying we are not going to list confirmed cases as deaths in Minnesota. We are going to put an asterisk by them, and we'll follow up on those later. But that's not what Pennsylvania was doing. That's why they had to subtract 200 patients from their COVID-19 death count. Colorado did the same thing. New York went the other direction. New York said, we're having more deaths in a certain period than we normally have, so those deaths must be COVID-19. We just didn't pick them up. So never mind the testing. We're adding 3,700 to our total, and well, that does increase our total by 50%. So I'm in a position where I have to explain that I wasn't spreading misinformation. And I'm not being reckless when I talk about COVID-19 and influenza both being single-stranded RNA viruses that are respiratory in nature with similar symptoms and can be spread through particulate matter and aerosol transmission. I've got an 8-page document that I put together for the Board of Medical Practice, and let me be clear. They do important work, and I'm going to fully cooperate with them. I also have some 70 pages of attachments, and in the attachments, I've got the Pennsylvania Department of Health slashing their numbers by 201. I've got the Department of Health in Illinois, where one of the directors says that just because we put COVID-19 down on the death certificate as cause of death, that doesn't mean the patient died of COVID-19. She said that. Dr. Fauci, when he talks about influenza, he was the lead article in this New England Journal article, and he said this: if one assumes that the number of asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic cases for COVID-19 is several times as high as the number of reported cases, the case fatality rate may be considerably less than 1%. This suggests that the overall clinical consequences of COVID-19 may ultimately be more akin to those of a severe seasonal influenza. That was Dr. Fauci. And, oh, by the way, one of the contributing authors was Dr. Robert Redfield, the head of the CDC. Dr. Osterholm is a well-regarded epidemiologist, and he was saying this in the middle of March. He said, the flu has become a pandemic more than once and it's killed millions of people. It still exists today. Unfortunately, we now have on our hands something else, but it's caused by coronavirus, which is acting very much like influenza. Folks, do I feel targeted? Yeah, I do. Do I know who my accusers are? No, I don't get to know. Could I be disciplined by the Board of Medical Practice? Well, sure I can. There's 2 allegations they're investigating. If I have been spreading misinformation, then what about Governor Walz and the Department of Health? Right around March 1st, we had a Department of Health memo that talked about the purpose of, if you will, some of the measures that would be taking to dampen, delay, and decrease the peak, to allow the accumulation of PPE and make sure that our hospital capacities weren't being overwhelmed. In that memo, they say what the effective measures are: cover your mouth, don't go out if you have cough or fever, avoid touching your face, your eyes, or mouth, cover your mouth if you cough, wash your hands frequently, minimize outings, socially distance. But what did they say were not effective measures? They said wearing masks is not effective, taking antibiotics is not effective. A month later, Governor Walz comes out, talks about 74,000 Minnesotans dying. Later on, he went back to 29,000, and right around then, I put a different video out saying just the facts. And I said, I'm not buying 74,000 Minnesotans dying, I'm not buying 29,000. And then this one came out a month later, right around May 1st. This is a model that they're using. And it says on here, Minnesotans model projects nearly 1,000 deaths a day in mid-July. Well, folks, that's next week. So far, we have less than, something right around 1,500, of which all but 300 of them have occurred in people in long-term care facilities, in large part because the Department of Health participated in decisions that put people with active COVID-19 disease in the nursing homes. And I'm spreading misinformation. Of course I am. this is wrong. We're in a bad place. My wife asked me the other day, Scott, why did 911 pull us together as Americans so much? And why is COVID-19 breaking us apart? I think physicians are part to blame. Scientists are. We've become so darn political. Physicians and scientists in the past are supposed to be above the fray. They're not. I have this odd set of hats I'm wearing because I'm the vice chair of the Health and Human Services Committee in the Senate, and I'm involved in policy discussions and involved in bills that deal with providing relief for COVID-19. And on the other hand, I've been a physician in the trenches for 35 years. So I try to connect the dots. I don't try to present myself to be something I'm not. I'm not an epidemiologist, but yes, I've taken epidemiology classes. I'm not an infectious disease doctor, but I take care of infectious disease every day. I just want to leave you with a couple of questions you could maybe ask yourself. Do we think it's okay for physicians to certify in death certificates that someone died of COVID-19, even if there was never a COVID-19 positive test obtained, even if there was never a COVID-19 test done, even if a COVID-19 test hadn't even been considered? And maybe the worst, even if the family had no clue that the death certificate they received for their loved one was going to say COVID-19. What do we want to be doing there? In Minnesota, I think the Department of Health is taking care of business. Those are important questions. I'm sure there are naysayers out there that think that I'm getting exactly what I deserve. Fine. If it can happen to me, I think, frankly, that it could happen to anybody. It feels ugly. It feels like some of the people that disagree with me don't want to have a conversation. I've asked many of you to have conversations, and you've not been interested. So, reckless advice regarding comparisons between COVID-19 and the flu. Spreading misinformation, because I cried foul when I received a memorandum from the Department of Health on April 3rd, which directed me to a CDC link, which says clearly that you could have a patient suffering from other medical problems, wheelchair bound, severe stroke within the preceding year or two, no COVID-19 test ever done or ordered, and when that patient dies of pneumonia, it's a COVID-19 death. I cried foul. And I'm grateful that the Department of Health, a week later, tried to clarify things, and a month later clarified it further. But I'll say it again, the official people who write the coding Bible in this country said, if the provider documents suspected, possible, probable, or inconclusive, do not.
It gon' make you feel better. This can take away palaba. This can take away wahala. It gon' make you feel Niger. Oh yeah, let's go to Kenya, Rwanda and Tanzania. Togo, Cameroon, Niger, Ghana, Saudi.
You have reached the end of my video. Thank you for watching, but don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, the notification bell so that you can see my videos as soon as they are uploaded. Have a great day.